That is a good question. Hello everyone, my name is Michael SK and welcome back to Atri, my dear moments. It's been a little bit since I last recorded. I had a cold and some other stuff going on, so I've been a little MIA. I'm still slightly congested. I don't think as congested as the video I just uploaded, as well as the one before that. Those were my post-cold recordings, but I'm getting better, hopefully. I want to say I feel like I'm sounding better, but whatever. Time to get back to it, if you will. So I don't really remember what happened in the last episode, other than the fact that we found Catherine drunk and dying, or definitely would have been dying through drowning if we left her where she was. She was not in a good state, so we brought her back here. First, be careful. Atri's asleep, but one word from me and she'll wake up. A robot always obeys its master, after all. Oh, that's a complete lie, and I know it. This low-voltage piece of scrap wouldn't wake up if I kicked her in the head. Nothing. You were drunk, and it looked like you were about to drown. So against my better judgment, we brought you here. Wow, she didn't even try to argue with that. I guess she's had a similar experience before, unsurprisingly. I'm sorry about the debt. If you want, take this ship and the sub and sell those to make up for it. She would get an order of magnitude less money than she would for a humanoid, but it would probably just about be enough. Oh, thanks for being caring. There's plenty of empty rooms in the school that I could hunker down in. I could even use the showers there. After diving with Atri yesterday, we had borrowed the school showers to wash down. I didn't want to have Atri's hair smelling of the sea. There's no hot water, but that's not a problem at this time of year. Are you sure about that? Whoever hired you might not care. Catherine stands and walks toward the door. Yeah, you were kind of going into psycho mode back there. If I went to the police, they'd probably lock you up. Oh, hey, she is awake. Well, barely. If you want to constitute that as awake, Atri groggily awakens. Oh, she's not feeling all that confident now. She swiftly makes her exit. Not so threatening for someone who looked like she could have gladly slashed my throat a few days ago. Maybe she's not that evil after all. Was she just bluffing? It was some great lengths to be bluffing. Very, very much so on the great lengths. She said thanks and left, surprisingly grateful all in all. Well, that's the question of my grandmother's debts solved for the moment, if not forever. That was easy. That was an easy one. Hey, good start, right? Good start to this one. I don't really know what to think of Catherine because, somewhere deep inside, I don't think she's a bad person whatsoever. I do think that she has her motives, but other than that, it's, whatever. The next day, construction begins. Oh, that's right, we did go diving. That's exactly what we did in the last episode. It's all coming back to me now. So let's go over the basics of how this will work again. Moving a magnet near a coil makes a current flow through the wire. This is electromagnetic induction, as discovered in 1831 by the British physicist Michael Faraday. He discovered that an efficient way to generate electricity was to rotate a magnet within a coil. This simple mechanism forms the basis of most modern electricity generators. The only question is how you make the magnet spin. What kind of turbine do you use? There's a lot of different options. Minamo. She jerks out of her seat, standing bolt upright. It's rare to see her snoozing in class. Tell me a little bit about some methods of power generation.
力、地熱発電。原子力発電。
Okay, that's pretty much all of the major ones. There's potentially also nuclear fusion, but no one has ever managed to put that to practical use. For decades now, people have been saying fusion power is right around the corner. Studying how to practically apply the theories behind it is a major subject at the Academy. Almost all forms of power generation basically come down to turning a turbine somehow. Oil and coal-burning power plants use steam to spin a turbine. A geothermal plant, well, steam from boiling water deep in the ground spinning a turbine. Wind power, just big turbines in the air.
原子力も
They're just like fuel-burning plants, but the heat is coming from a nuclear reaction instead of burning fossil fuels.
核融合もか
I nod. As colossal as the amounts of nuclear energy involved are, in the end, both fission and fusion generators are just spinning a turbine all the same.
マジかよ
I was just as surprised when I found that out myself. So basically, all of those methods of generation are just converting the energy from the fuel, water, or wind into electricity through a spinning magnet in a coil. The key word there is converting. A generator doesn't so much generate power as it does simply convert it from one form to another. Energy can't simply be birthed from nothing. That's the point of the law of conservation of energy. That'd be cool if you could get something to appear from nothing. That's the magic we seek. That means the conversion efficiency of a generator is a key factor. There's always energy loss in the form of noise or heat, so 100 joules of energy in won't necessarily mean 100 out. That would be cool though. That would be a really good conversion rate, 1 to 1. There are some forms of power generation that don't use turbines, by the way. Solar panels are a common example, but artificial muscle can also generate energy like that. There are a pretty interesting concept, really. The muscles in the human body move by receiving electrical signals, so I can see the obvious lack of enthusiasm for a lecture on advanced biomimetics etched on everyone's faces. Okay, back to the point. What we're going to be doing is making a generator that utilizes a water turbine.
つまり水力発電ってわけか
I shake my head. Strictly speaking, it's a slightly different mechanism. This is tidal power. That means that we're going to be converting the energy of the incoming ocean tides into electricity. I'm going to explain the specifics of the turbine that we're going to make. So try to follow along as best as you can. This is going to be like a big science experiment. We're going to need everyone understanding what's going on as much as possible if we want to make this work, regardless of their age. Right, let's go and inspect the location. Sorry, goddamn. I can't really blame me recovering from a cold on my inability to speak, so unfortunately that excuse won't work. I lead everyone down to an empty classroom on the second floor. It's low tide and the floor is free of water. First, we're going to smash a hole through here. I tap my prosthetic leg against the floor. That will allow for water to flow down into the first floor. The classroom below is already inundated with the sea. We'll be positioning the turbine in this hole. This floor will fill with water when the tide comes in, and then drain again when it goes out. It will naturally flow through the hole we made, and will convert the energy of that movement into electricity.
それだけ聞くとなんとなく簡単そうだけど
But I'm sure it's a whole lot more complicated. As I mentioned earlier, the key is going to be how we get the draining water to actually drive the turbine. What happens when you, say, suddenly pull the plug out of a sink?
渦ができるぞ
Rurika throws her hand up and doesn't even wait for me to call on her. Exactly, and we're going to use that whirlpool. We'll make energy from both the rotational force of it as well as the water falling. Get every bit of it, as much as you can. There are quite a few ways to design a hydroelectric generator. Most people will have seen hydroelectric dams, but it's also possible to install water wheels in irrigation ditches, pipes, or any other kind of running water. The key is that there has to be smooth flow in one direction. Unfortunately, the water on the second floor flows in one direction and back out in the other. There's one way that we can take advantage of that: a turbine with an axle aligned vertically, not horizontally. It will be able to turn efficiently regardless of what direction the water is coming from.
で、具体的には何をすりゃいい？
There's three major things that we need. First, we need to smash open that hole. I'll walk you through the process to do that now.
簡単に言うが、なかなか骨が折れるぜ。電動のドリルなんかは使えないんだからな。
Well, yeah. True, we don't have electricity until we generate it ourselves.
まあ、なんとかするさ。で、二つ目は？
What I'm kind of curious, and I'm no electrician or smart, but we generate this electricity and where do we, what are we going to do with it? Do we store it somewhere so that we can connect things to whatever, we're storing it in order to utilize it? Because this building probably doesn't have, the wiring anymore to be able to utilize any bit of electricity coming into it. So that's not going to work. So the tide comes flowing up from the first floor corridor, right? At high tide, it rises up the stairs and floods the second floor. The stairs are currently the only path in or out for the water.
聞くときもここから出ていくことになるな。
If all the water takes the path of least resistance and flows down the stairs, our hole will be useless. So we need a valve. In other words, a dam that will let the water in but prevents it from leaving again. That will create a reservoir that's guaranteed to drain throughout our turbine.
素材なんかを考え
Or
る必
through
要
our
がある
turbine.
な。まだどうにかなりそうだな。
I get what he's putting down, though. I can already picture it, I think. I hope you guys can as well. The third thing, of course, is the most important. We can't make a generator without a turbine. I want it to be about 1 meter in diameter, and it will need to be tall enough that the axle is above the water line at high tide. I unfurl the blueprints and show them to him. My scribbles here are more detailed than the last set, the product of a long, hard night. Not a whole lot of sleep here with this guy. We'll be making it out of fiberglass, using the resin that we salvaged yesterday. Sound good? There are two important things when it comes to designing power plants: lifespan and fixability. A power plant should ideally be able to be operated safely for as long as possible. Entire communities can depend on them, and they need a sustainable source of power. But no matter how long a plant is meant to last, there's always the chance that it will run into problems. It must be constructed to allow maintenance and be rebuilt easily if it fails completely. Fiberglass is perfect for our needs in both respects. It won't rust in seawater like metal, and as long as you have the molds and plans that you used originally, you can rebuild the same structure over and over again. And most importantly, it's easy to work with without electric tools.
悪くねえが、ちょっと難しいところがあるな。
He stares at the plans with a knitted brow. I tried to give it as large a surface area as possible to get the most out of our limited flow of water.
それは問題ねえ。FRP なら曲面加工はさほど難しくない。ただ、フィンを接続する部分の形状が複雑すぎる。もっと単純化できないか。
Then how about this?
強度が弱くなるだろ。いいのかよ。
Then maybe we can trim these parts down?
ねえみなもちゃん、教室帰っていい？
Yeah, it's not all that,
なんだか
happy and bright here,
長くなり
is
そう
it?
だしね。
We're so engrossed in our discussion that we hardly notice everyone leaving us completely alone. I mean, it sort of seems like the lesson is over there. Thus, construction gets underway. The first order of business is to carve some large, I don't even know how to properly pronounce that, I'm not going to try, blocks into shape. These will form the molds for the different parts of the turbine, which will be layered with fiberglass resin and left until it sets into shape. Fiberglass's ability to be molded like this is one reason why it's such a widely used material. Also, its high strength to weight ratio makes it perfect for car fenders and boat holes.
よいしょ。
The more you know.
よいしょ。削った発泡スチロール、雪みたいだ。本当だね。
The kids are mostly treating this like fun, but they're still doing good work. Once they reach a certain point, however, I have to step in to do the more delicate parts.
私もお手伝いがしたいです、夏希さん。
She looks up at me with puppy dog eyes. Not a chance, you'll break everything into a million pieces.
そりゃ戦闘ロボットの宿命として、まずはパワーの制御から覚えなければいけませんが。
Yeah, I don't really think that's necessarily the situation here. We've got limited resources here. We can't afford too many failures. I'm going to go and check up on how it's going downstairs. Come give me a hand.
はーい。
She takes my hand with a disconsolate pout. We can tell that work is going on as soon as we approach the stairs to the second floor. The sound of clanging metal echoes off the old concrete walls. The sound stops as we approach the classroom. Ryuji rests his pickaxe against the wall and takes off his gloves. His hands are red, raw, and calloused. This might be more difficult than I anticipated.
なんとかなるかと思ったが、穴を開けるだけで1ヶ月はかかるぞ。
This dilapidated old building is more sturdy than I could ever have imagined. We've only just started, and I'm already starting to think that we've been a little naive. Maybe I should help out too.
いいって。力仕事できるのが俺しかいねえんだ。なんとかしてみるさ。
There's gotta be another way, honestly. There has to. He dons his gloves again and grabs his pick. To be honest, I'd prefer if he was freed up to help with the more complicated parts of making the turbine, parts that might require some of his particular specialist knowledge. But I can't exactly do this kind of job with my leg. I suppose it will have to be him who handles the manual work. Atri.
なんでしょう。
Sometimes it's hard to remember because she looks like such a small, fragile girl, but she's definitely the strongest among us. Her strength is pretty much the only thing she's useful for, unless you've got a real hankering for some crab. Can you help me out?
なんなりと。
I want you to take this pickaxe and open a hole here. Just knock out all of the concrete in this circle. A line marking out the size of the turbine is drawn on the floor.
おいおい、大丈夫なのか？
こんなの楽勝
I
です
mean,
よ。
I personally think she's capable. Let her give it a try.
いきますよ。ちょわ。
お！簡単に床を砕きやがった。
Well, she isn't human. I don't think she's a
これが
military
戦闘
robot
ロボの
either.
実力です。
I don't think so.
こいつ戦闘ロボだったのか。
Don't listen to that idiot.
おっと、そうでした。これは極秘機密事項なので、他言無用でお願いします。
マジかよ。
He can't actually believe her, can he? Well, keep that up, Atri. We're going to do some work upstairs. Atri's triumphant smile vanishes. What's wrong?
私は夏希さんの足だから、一緒にいないといけないんです。
You know what would be really useful? A leg you could take off and knock out a floor for you. What a high-performance leg that would be, huh? So don't worry about me. Everyone else is up there to look after me. Atri throws aside the pickaxe and trots over to me. She grabs a hold of my shirt sleeve.
ロボットとしての優先順位を設定します。夏希さんのそばにいるのが最優先事項です。
Right. Well, it looks like I'm staying here. I'm worried that you won't stick to the line anyway. Ryuji, can you handle things upstairs?
あ、なんかあったら聞きに来る。
With Ryuji gone, Atri reverts to a wide, gleeful smile.
では、夏希さんのご要望にお答えして、私の高性能さをフルに発揮しますね。
She happily goes about swinging the pickaxe. Why does she hate being separated from me so much? I can't tell whether it's a part of her programming or that she just wants me to see her working hard. Whatever the case, I'm happy to have her strength to help out. I mean, for me, it just makes me more worried because we're going to get more and more attached to her, us as the reader, but also the main character here is going to get so attached to her, and I know how this is going to end. It's going to end bad, bad, bad. I don't know in what way, though. But for a while, I have nothing to do but watch over her as she bangs away. Just have to keep crossing my fingers that things don't necessarily get so bad. What I mean by that is emotional. When the sun begins to dip and the high tides threaten to invade the second floor, I take Atri up to see everyone. How are things up here?
まず順調だ。
God damn, you're loud.
やめてよ
Kids are gonna be
ほ
kids.
ら、これも授業だよ。静かにしなさい。
チビどもがうっせえがな。
Yeah, I will take your word for that one. The whole digging work went well thanks to Atri. Let's head home before it gets too dark.
待って。夏くんが下で作業してる間に。
On the desk is a pile of rice balls and a steaming bowl of miso soup.
リリカたちも手伝ったんだぞ。
その一番でっかいおにぎり、僕が作ったんだ。
ひなもちゃんとお味噌汁作った。
I know we're like, well, I don't know how many episodes in, but like, there's no voice volume necessarily for Child B, is there? He's just mixed in with the other male and then there's other female. But they are at like max volume. I'm gonna put them at like 90.
ヒットマンどこ？
Yeah, there we go.
敵が攻めてきたって本当？
Alright, that works for me. Maybe. Workers grub, huh?
みんなお腹すくだろうと思って。
せっかくだ。食って帰ろうぜ。
いいな。
You can have some too, you know.
いいんですか？
Yeah, wait a minute. We're actually gonna offer her some food. Yeah, you worked hard enough, I suppose. Delicious food makes you happy, right?
はいです。
Might not be a necessity, but she wants to be
あたりちゃんの分？
involved.
わーい、ありがとうです。みんなも。労働の後のご飯はより一層美味しいですね。
だな。
たくさん用意したからね。いただきまーす。
Yeah, there's no winning with the sound mixing, by the way. I think it was Ryuji who was the loudest one back there, but yeah, this title's sound mixing is just a little bit too much. I had started recording Fate Stay Night, and that one is just so good across the board. It's a little weird, but you know, the voices, nobody is louder than the other, at least on the volume side, like in decibels. Everyone hungrily chomps through the little packets of salty rice. Everybody is so famished from our long day of work that they all disappear with astonishing speed.
どうしたの、夏くん。口に合わなかった？
No, they're great. It's the absolute simplest of foods. And yet, it somehow tastes so much better than anything I can imagine some big shot chef making. The crab yesterday was great too, but you can't really mess up crab. Better after a hard day's work, huh? I savored the salty taste against my tongue, thinking about how long it's been since I ate such a filling meal. And it's nice to have so many, you know, people around. That's always a good feeling. Being able to eat a big-ass meal with an awesome group, especially after a long day's work. For a while, every day passes by at this languid pace. We work from sunrise to sunset, enjoy Minamo's feast, and then head home. How many days have passed? Or are passing? We reach the end of another long, exhausting day. The hole is pretty much done, I think. Hey, brats.
なんだよ。ヒットマン改め現場監督。
I really don't need another nickname. Don't go anywhere near the classroom on the second floor. If you let the tide pull you into that hole, there will be no getting you out.
死んじゃうの？
Well, yeah, probably. Yep, you too, Rurika. Don't you go snooping around just because you're curious.
わかった。
Rurika nods earnestly. I think they understand just how dangerous it is. I shouldn't have to worry about them.
こっちはもう型ができて FRP の積層作業に入ってる。
I'll help too when I have a hand to spare.
ああ、そうしてくれ。
青春だね。本当に文化祭の準備してるみたい。
And there's a lot to learn from this whole process too.
夏くんがいた学校でも文化祭あったの？
Well, it wasn't really that kind of place. Everyone was too engrossed in their studies or personal research to enjoy those kinds of frivolous things.
研究って高校生もやるのか？
Well, shit, even the fucking high school I went to does I mean, you do research in high school, right? Like, that's like a normal thing in the States and elsewhere, right? There's always projects to do whenever you're in high school for whatever your subject, like typically English or maybe science if your classes require like a science project. You're always doing research, but there's definitely time for, fun and games here and there. At that place, as long as you could get good results, you could study whatever specialist subject you wanted. Even I did.
どんな勉強してたの？
The basics of robot construction and potential applications of robots in extreme environments.
ロボット工学。
What a coincidence. What a fucking
す
coincidence.
げえ。さすが夏木先生だ。全然わかんないけど、多分すげえ。
はあ。そんなすげえことしてたのに、なんでこの町に来たんだ？
Well, it wasn't exactly by choice. I laughed darkly, taking a seat and stretching out my right leg. I undid the straps of my prosthetic limb. I was 8 years old when I lost my leg in a tunnel collapse. That was the reason why I first came to this town. My mother died in that same accident. The doctors said that I should recuperate somewhere peaceful, and so I was left with my grandmother. That was back before the seas rose, when the coasts around here was so beautiful. The landscapes were truly stunning too, almost serene enough to soothe a soul as fractured as mine. One day after I'd recovered, I met a girl.
私か
No, it was a beautiful older girl.
な？みなもちゃんどんまい。
God damn it. It was all thanks to her that I was able to get back on my feet again. And then I met Minamo too.
よく一緒に遊んだよね。おばあちゃんの船に乗せてもらったりして。
I know I was a little confused at the start with how we knew Minamo and how we were here more on like a temporarily type basis. Things were a little... It's because of the pre-establishment, We got to figure things out, but I was a little confused as to, what the current state of everything was. Granny, my grandmother, Yachigusa Nonko. Whenever she found me sneaking off onto the ship that I now call my home, she would scream my ears off.
夏木先生どんな子供だったんだ？暗い子だったかな。話しかけてもいつもムスッとしてて。
今と同じじゃねえか。
Oh, come on. Come on
で
now.
もね、物知り博士で一緒に遊んでるといろんなことを教えてくれたんだ。今と同じだ。
同じだな。
Huh, sorry for being such a... Or being such a... Wait, yeah, that's a sentence mistake. They have too many A's in there. That was throwing me off. Sorry for being such a miserable kid.
でも、この街で過ごしてるうちに、だんだん笑うようになっていったよね。
During the time... during the time that I was hanging around with Minamo, I was gradually getting used to life without my right leg. And then, well... I thought I had to save the world. My father got me to apply for the academy. I passed the entrance exam fairly easily with a little studying.
親父はどうしたんだ？
He's... well, I don't know. He's probably out there somewhere working on his own projects. He probably doesn't even know that I'm back here.
なんだよそれ。親なんだろ？
I think this is the first time we're hearing about him. Some fathers are like that. Anyway, I got into the academy and I threw myself into studying how to save the world. My father did give me one thing as a present when I started, a cybernetic leg, a much nicer one than this piece of junk. It was a particularly advanced, expensive model. It read the brain signals that would normally be traveling to my leg and moved accordingly. It was perfect, high performance even. It was like I was whole again. I worked hard to stand out at the top of the middle school classes and carried on those results in the high school division. Even the teachers were humbled by my knowledge sometimes.
なんか目に浮かぶようだな。大人を冷たい目で見下してるお前が。
It's like he can look into the past. Yeah, it's true. I would always try to humiliate the less specialized teachers with my particular fields of knowledge. I just couldn't respect them. They were like cogs in the machine. That didn't make for the best relations with everyone there. That all changed at the beginning of this year. I couldn't afford the tuition fees anymore on just my father's stipend. That gave the teachers the perfect excuse to have me excluded from lessons.
ひどい。
Stipend, by the way. That was a mistake on my end. I apologize. I apologize to the visual novel translation that we have here, or the script, for including an extra A in that one sentence that threw me off. All I could think of to do was to sell my cybernetic leg and pay my fees with that. But it's hard to live with a disability when you've got no one there to help you, when there's not a single person on your side. It was my own attitude that had left me in that situation, but naturally I didn't consider that at the time. In the end, I just couldn't stay there anymore. I ran away. The air among all listening doesn't seem quite so sympathetic after hearing my tale of self-inflicted woe. I mean, yeah, he kind of brought on a lot of that on himself there, but, you know, when we're young, going through school, or even whenever I was in high school, I was a fucking idiot. I would even argue today I'm still pretty dumb. You know, making decisions that kind of just put myself in a hole. People do that, you know? They don't mean to, but, you know, we're stubborn, we're stupid at times, things happen. Look at who I'm talking to. There's Rurika, who lost her parents and her home, and now lives in a dark, empty classroom. What I've been through is nothing compared to her. Ryuji's family lost their home too, and I'm sure the other kids have similar stories. Everyone in this cursed age has their own pain.
そうだったんだ。
お前も苦労してんだな。
Hasn't everyone?
3人くらい殺して町に逃げてきたんだって勘違いしてて。ごめんなさい。
Who else did you tell? I'd rather everyone think that they think that than know the truth of anything.
でもよ、なんでこの町に帰ってきたんだ？親父のところへ帰ろうと
Well, we don't know where he's
思わなかっ
at.
たのか？
We have no idea where he could be. I thought I would just get in his way. My grandmother was at least, well, you know, still alive, so, you know.
それだけか？
What else could there be?
いやほら。
私がいたからじゃないよね。ごめんなさい。調子に乗りました。
I like how everybody is just trying their damnedest to help Minamo out here. I guess that's part of it too. It's reassuring to not be completely alone at least. If there's one thing my time at the academy taught me, it's that.
そうなんだ。
When I went to university, I was going in not really knowing a single person. You know, my place, or my subject, if you will, what I went there to study for, I was basically going at it alone. But whenever I was there for orientation, I ran into somebody that I got to know somewhat in college. So that feeling of going in not alone anymore was really helpful. Obviously, you know, you meet people and this and that, but throughout my time there, and even near the end, because I finished off my studying whenever COVID had happened, it was very, very lonely. It is so helpful to have people around you with whatever you're doing. Make connections, make friends. Ryuji grins.
さっき話してたお姉さんが目当てなんだろ？
Come on, man.
そうなの？夏希先生、赤くなったぞ。
なんだよ夏希。目つきの悪いいけすかない野郎かと思ってたが、可愛いとこあるじゃねえか。
Alright, Ryuji, you're getting turned down. You're going to
俺
90
に
as
任
well.
せとけって。全部う
You're,
まくい
you're a
くか
little
ら
too
よ。
loud. Shut up.
初恋のお姉さんを追っかけてな。
I shouldn't have gotten carried away. I've said far too much. What was the point in talking about all that stuff anyway? Good
悪
question.
い悪い。からかうつもりはないんだ。なんか思ったより可愛かったからさ。
Say, Ryuji, you're well known around here, right?
皆まで言うな。そのお姉さん探し、手伝ってやる。
Hell yeah. No, I wish that was actually the case. I thought that's what he was going to ask. No, I was just thinking that you might be able to help me find a job. I can't rely on my father anymore, so I need to find some way to support myself.
まあバイトくらいならどうにかなるかも。なあ、みなも。
どうだろう。
There are only so many jobs that someone with my body can manage. I've got debts I inherited from my grandmother. If I don't pay them back, well, I'll have to sell Atri.
そりゃあまた。
ダメだよそんなの。ねえアトリちゃん。いえ、私はそのつもりですので。むしろ我が身を売却することで積極的に夏希さんのお役に立ちたいです。
I don't really understand why she's so accepting of it. She just needs her 45 days or whatever.
できればそのお金で私亡き後の新しい足を買ってほしい。
I've told you that's not what I want. Get it into that toaster brain of yours.
また言いましたね。いいですか夏希さん。ポンコツって言う方がポンコツなんですよ。
Relevant law? That doesn't even make sense. What are you, 4 years old? Doing the no you thing. As we while away the time with idle foolishness, the evening sun starts to dip below the horizon. The dazzling amber of its rays glimmers off the incoming tide, illuminating our faces.
いけない。暗くなる前に子供たちを返さないと。
She rings her little handbell and class officially comes to a close. We hurriedly pack together anything that we need to take home, leaving a small mountain of shredded... What is that? Polystyrene? Is that's not how you pronounce that. I don't know. I'm an idiot, but we leave it behind.
仕事いいのがあれば紹介してやるよ。でもあんまり期待しないでくれ。今この町は空前の不景気だからな。
You don't say. That's okay. Thanks. I can fully understand and grasp the situation that we have here. And it's even harder for somebody who is disabled, like he is, in order to get something. See, if we were just in a normal world here, an office job would probably be perfect for him. Maybe even some engineering. A few days of construction pass. We've now moved on to one of the most important parts of the process, molding the fiberglass. Fiberglass is made by forming glass matting over a mold, in our case made of the polystyrene, and then applying a hardening plastic resin. Glass matting, not mating, is comprised of woven glass fibers, which are impregnated by the resin. Alright, and then you layer these impregnated mats on top of each other of each other in your mold, so they take the shape that you need. After hardening and polishing the surface, you're left with a hard, glass-reinforced plastic. It's strong, durable, and water-resistant enough to be used for boat hulls and numerous other applications. It's not the most exciting material to make, but it's simple and easy to work with. In our case, we'll be making the central part of our generator, the water turbine. And I'm thankful to say that after several days of molding, our turbine blades are coming together.
固まるまでにしばらくかかるな。
When fiberglass cures, it gives off a horrendous stench. Even with the windows open, it's tough to even stay in the same room at this stage of the process. Maybe we should go shopping while this dries. We make our way to the market district.
頼まれてたもの入ってるよ。
I've been waiting for this. The real heart of our generator is here. The main part of the core is the motor. This one's a basic secondhand model, but if we can make it spin, the magnet rotating inside the internal coil will generate electricity. To convert that electricity into a useful voltage, we've got some wires and a transformer to attach it to. We've already got a battery, haven't we?
うちに廃車になった車のがある。中古でいいんだな。
Yeah, more than enough. One of the problems with renewable energy resources is that the amount of power they generate throughout the day isn't very inconsistent. But by storing some of the surplus energy generated in a battery when conditions are good or power usage is low, well, you then have a backup for when your usage exceeds what you're generating. How much will that be? He taps away at his calculator.
こんなとこかな。お得意さんだ。負けといてやったよ。
Even so, it's an amount that would stretch the purse strings of any high schooler. Ryuji, Minamo, and I all have to pool our resources in order to afford it. I'm surprised you actually get a allowance here in the end times.
泣き言言うな。俺だって辛いんだ。
I don't even know how I'm going to get through tomorrow at this rate.
毎度あり。
Well, satisfied to a degree, but just as we're about to trudge out of the store, the owner calls out behind us.
そういや、あんたが連れてた派手な女いたろ。
Catherine? What did she do something stupid again?
あれってもしかして、花ちゃんかい？
Who? I don't know her real name or anything about her. For that matter, all I know is that she said that she came from the big city.
そうかい。じゃあやっぱり別人なのかね。いやね、夜になるとこの辺りで飲み歩いてるから噂になってんだけど。3年前、家出して行方不明になった
If it is a different
長田さ
person,
んとこの花ちゃんじゃないかって。
is this the woman that, he's looking for here? I don't really know how to respond. I hardly know anything about Catherine, let alone this Hana-chan. Next time I see her, I'll ask about that. I mean, come on, it has to be. It has to. When we get back, Rurika is working by herself.
よいしょよいしょ。
お前、上手になったな。
先生に教えてもらったから。
Rurika doesn't even look away from her work.
先生夏希か？
Well, I would say we're just getting more respect finally.
あ、しまった。なんでもないよ。秘密だから。
なんか怪しいな。
やだなあ、隠してないよ。なんにも隠してない。
She does a strange little dance, which doesn't make her denial any more convincing. Luckily, Ryuji quickly grows bored of teasing the kid and returns to his own business. For a while, we're all silently engaged in our work.
そういや夏希、さっき話してた花ちゃんってよ。
ギク、どうしたのリリカ。
Yeah, does she know something?
なんでもないよ。
もしかしてあの花ちゃんか？
Really?
うち姉ちゃんいるし、上の姉ちゃんの先輩にいた気がする。
Oh, well, there we go.
お前こそなんで花ちゃん知ってんだよ。
An acquaintance of mine looks like her, apparently. Unless it is somebody different, or maybe she really is a local. I don't want to pry into people's pasts too much, but if she's going around calling herself Catherine, there must be something that she's trying to hide. I won't dig too deep into her circumstances, though. But I guess we're just gonna leave that as it is for now, because I am actually out of time. I am a little curious, though, I don't even know what that title means, but whatever. Yeah, we'll call it here on that one. But, yeah, there we go. We're making some progress here. The days are going by. We're in a groove, finally, it kind of feels like. And we've made some really strong connections with the people here, which is good. It's a little less depressing. But anyways, that is it for me on this one, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Take it easy.